Thank you for joining us this Saturday evening. I'm Sarah Horbacewicz here with meteorologist Tracy Bean filling in for Simone tonight. Tracy, It was a loud afternoon. We only saw the sun for a minute there.
It was a good minute though, wasn't it? It was a real good minute. We have been missing that sun. Lots of rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, and we've been dealing with severe weather. Luckily, our severe weather has been isolated, and if it has come around, it's mainly just been a few winds and maybe it's some smaller hail. I know we did have some larger hail this afternoon in a couple of areas, but overall we are doing much better. We are looking at 2 areas here on the state map, but not too bad. Again, these are expected to expire around 6:15 tonight, but things are looking much better. Things will calm down, I promise you, but Drew County until 6:15 tonight around Monticello and Wilmer. Just looking at those winds, so be a little extra careful. It is moving out of the state quickly, but we'll have more coming up in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about what tomorrow and then the first of the work week is going to look like.
All right, Tracy, thank you. Tonight, Little Rock police are investigating an overnight homicide. The call came just before 12:30 this morning at a home on 1901 South Pulaski. Police say 2 people had been shot. They were taken to the hospital where one of them died. Police say that the other person is expected to recover. Meanwhile, Arkansas State Police is cracking down on illegal drugs being trafficked across the state. They say they seized nearly 900 pounds of marijuana in just 10 days on I-40. In a sign of how Arkansas is a crossroads for these drugs, 2 drivers came from Oklahoma, one from Kentucky, one from North Carolina, and another traveling from Los Angeles. So far, state police say they've confiscated nearly 4,000 pounds of illegal marijuana already this year. And we've been paying close attention to the forecast this week with those rain chances almost every day. But just to our west, downpours are causing massive flooding in Texas. Anaya Ruiz shows us how people east of Houston are managing the rising water.
As the water rises, workers in the Highlands area of East Harris County are quickly mobilizing, not just to keep an eye on it, but also to position barriers to stop people from crossing. The water is moving fast, completely covering several roads.
Have you ever seen it like this?
No, never. This is terrible.
Some in the River Glen area, like Andres, tell me they didn't evacuate immediately.
We waited. We always wait till the last minute just to kind of see, because we have time. We can visualize the, we watch the water, watch the weather.
But once they saw the water rising more than 10 feet, he said they knew they had to get out.
Sometimes we don't have to evacuate, but now the houses are completely surrounded by water, which is we haven't seen since Harvey.
And many people are keeping a close eye on the river, hoping the water doesn't rise more, where it'll affect their livestock.
I'm worried before it rained and stuff like in Harvey. The horses had to be evacuated out, so we're just kind of watching to make sure our horse, where we need to get them out or what have you.
A situation they say they all know too well, living next to the river.
We have ATVs and stuff and paddle boats. Everybody that lives down here has been here, their whole lives as well.
Meanwhile, in Central Texas, residents are picking up the pieces of the small city of Hawley after a tornado touched down there. 6 homes were destroyed, 18-wheelers overturned and dumped in fields. A family of 4 was taken to the hospital by a storm chaser. All of them, however, are expected to be okay. This week, the United Methodist Church overturned its ban on LGBTQ+ clergy. Church leaders here in Arkansas say that it's a new chapter for the church.
So this does not have to be a time for action, but it is a good time for conversation. We must proceed with care for each other to guard the health of our body and its members.
They say they will not penalize clergy for performing same-sex marriages, but they will also not be forcing leaders to hold the ceremonies either. The church has developed a conversation guide to help church leaders communicate through the changes. The Department of Human Services is kicking off 4 programs to help families and children. The programs aim to help identify disabilities or crisis situations at an early age and then continue those services long term. These new programs are being funded through $200 million of pandemic funds from the government. One of the directors who helped put this together has worked closely with DHS children for years and knows firsthand how crucial these programs are.
we're getting these kids too late. Like, where did they come from? Like, why weren't they on our radar? What have we been giving them? And so it's really exciting to think about we can get in there with younger kids, right? And offer services to the entire family. Because right now, guys, we don't have any Medicaid programs that are really family-centered programs.
Later this summer, another program will be rolled out for crisis intervention. We've got an in-depth look at each of the new services right now on THV11.com. Tonight in Pine Bluff, the 5th annual Mommy and Me Brunch honoring mothers who have lost children to gun violence. Families met at the Pine Bluff Courthouse and then got an escort from police for the emotional ceremony at the brunch.
Like I said, this is very special to me. Bittersweet moment, but also just to love on them and let them know we as a community, we still are here for them in their time of need.
The event was helped put on by the organization I Am Girls Empowerment. They try to show how a mother's job is never done. Campus protests continue this weekend as commencement ceremonies at many universities across the country get underway. Christian Benavidez reports on how schools are dealing with the encampments that have been set up on some college campuses.
Clashes between protesters and police continued at pro-Palestine protests. At the University of Virginia, police dressed in riot gear moved with force to clear out an encampment. While at George Washington University, down the street from the White House, their camp remains up.
We will not leave this encampment until our demands are met.
Free Palestine! At some schools, such as Brown University in Rhode Island, students struck a deal to dismantle their encampment on their own in exchange for an agreement that the university review its investments in Israel.
As students at any school escalate, that actually puts pressure on the administrations of every single school to respond.
Images like these are overshadowing the agreement. New York City police are facing questions over why an officer's gun discharged when they cleared out Hamilton Hall earlier in the week.
At no time were any police officers, members of the public, or any protesters in danger. This was purely unintentional.
UCLA's campus was also cleared. The location of the tents still visible on the lawn, along with graffiti scrawled on buildings. Video from Portland State University showed what was left behind of the library after police moved against protesters. This week, President Biden spoke out about the violent protests.
Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest.
Commencements are now underway. This group of demonstrators interrupted the ceremony at the University of Michigan, where there were violent clashes with police Friday evening. Christian Benavidez, CBS News.
USC is among those that canceled its on-campus commencement ceremony. USC students will go to the Los Angeles Coliseum for safety. All right, now you're going to want to check this one out. Today, the Little Rock Farmers Market opened up for their 50th anniversary. The Farmers Market has called the River Market home since 1996, and some of the vendors have been coming to sell their produce since that very first day. Some vendors even accept SNAP benefits, and this year they've got special events planned so you can bring the whole family.
I mean, you name it, we got it. We will be doing some special programming. We do have our little farmers tent where we're doing some activities for kids throughout the whole season. So we're going to have a rotation of vendors coming in and out. So we've got a lot of big things.
The market goes from 7 a.m. to 2, so they are done for the day, but they'll be back every Saturday until Labor Day weekend on August 31st.